Hi and welcome to this week's midweek musing for Wednesday the 29th of April. I don't know if you saw the report published by the World Health Organization last week, where they were looking at the question of whether having had COVID-19 gives you immunity. And this was a big hope that was talked about in the early days of this virus, where if you'd had it, you wouldn't have it again, and so you could go out and resume sort of normal life. But this report raises a caution and says, I'm quoting from the report, there is currently no evidence that people who have recovered from COVID-19 and have antibodies are protected from a second infection. They're not necessarily saying that they won't be protected, but they're saying we don't know yet. The work hasn't been done, the analysis hasn't taken place. No studies have been done that we can rely on to say, actually, if you've had it, you're safe. I don't know what you think about that. What it did remind me of is the way we read about in the Old Testament, where people had to bring sacrifices, animal sacrifices or other sacrifices, to offer for sin, to have their sin covered, to restore relationship with God. It was something that was necessary, it was something that was required, but as Hebrews 10 tells us in verse 11, it could never actually take away sin. It covered it up, but it was something that had to be done time and time again. Doing it once didn't give immunity. But the amazing story of the sacrifice of Jesus, and we find this throughout the book of Hebrews, is that when he came to do something different. And chapter 7 verse 27 tells us that he offered himself once as a sacrifice for sin. No further sacrifice was necessary. Once was enough. Chapter 9 in verse 26, it tells us that he was able to remove sin by his own sacrificial death. He dealt with it. He got rid of it forever. Chapter 10 verse 10 tells us that because of that, it is possible for us to be made holy, to be made people who are welcome into God's presence. That's what Jesus has done for us. It's not that we never sin again, we do. And we need to come to him and to ask forgiveness. But we do that on the basis of what he accomplished for us on the cross. What it does say is that once we have accepted the forgiveness that Jesus offers, once we have taken his sacrifice and claimed it for our own, then we are free. We are immune forever from that penalty of sin that would eventually result in us being separated from God forever. We are safe from that. We are immune from that. And it is possible because of what Jesus did once when he sacrificed himself on the cross. Let's rejoice in that. Let's celebrate that. Let's live in the reality of that today.